Welcome to the DTV podcast presented by the Bless Your Heart Nonprofit Corporation. I'm Brendan Mathern and I'll be your host as we speak to some of the most interesting people on Bayou Lafourche. Just days before his second birthday, Riley John Bourgeois drowned in a neighbor's swimming pool and died 2 days later. After experiencing the agony of losing a child, his parents thought they didn't want anyone else to have to experience this pain. And so Riley John's Blue Boot Foundation was established to raise awareness about childhood drowning and ultimately save lives. Through community outreach and education, this organization has been making waves since its inception, and their annual Blue Boot Rodeo is one of the fastest-growing fishing rodeos in the state of Louisiana. In this episode, we'll learn more about Riley John's Blue Boot Foundation, the Blue Boot Rodeo, and other efforts by this incredible organization. To do that, we welcome Riley John's parents, Darby and Nicole Bourgeois, to the podcast. Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Glad to have you. So the way we start off around here is we'd like to know a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your family. Who's your mom and dad? Where you grew up?
I'll go first. My name is Darby Bourgeois. I'm here from Galliana, Louisiana. My parents are Jake. He's deceased, Bourgeois, and my mom is Corrine Onestell Bourgeois. Been working for Edison Schwest Offshore now for 28 years. Graduated from Lafourche High School in 1995. Went straight to work with the Schwest family, and have been a truly blessing to our family after all this tragic events that took place in our lives.
And my name's Nicole Ogeron, maiden name Bourgeois. I'm actually from Lockport. My parents' names are James and Lucy Ogeron. A lot of people know my mom as Miss Lucy, and she was a bus driver, driving all the kids around the Central Lafourche area. Grew up in Lockport, graduated from Central Lafourche High School in 1999, went to LSU Baton Rouge for undergraduate, and then I am a physician's assistant in orthopedic surgery. I went to Shreveport for orthopedic PA, and then came home, and I've been being a physician assistant now for the last 16 years. I currently work at Gulf Coast Orthopedics in Houma.
And we got a couple special guests with us in the studio, too. Tell us about these guys.
Yeah, we have our oldest son here, Jake, and our youngest son, Cam, coming to check out the event that we're doing today here at our little talk show. And we got them being quiet, hopefully.
Well, we're here, among other things, to talk about one of your kids that's not here, and that's Riley John. And most of the people listening here have probably heard about Riley John and the Blue Boot Foundation, but we'd love to hear Riley John's story. Tell us about the time that you got to experience with him and kind of maybe take us up to that tragic day. But we want to hear about the good times that you had before then.
Well, I mean, to start off, he was kind of like me, as a child. He was a ball of fire, full of energy, full of life, always smiling, went with anyone, no stranger. It's scary to see. I think he would have been one of our best athletes in the neighborhood. And at his young age, he could swing a bat, throw a ball. He was very athletic. Just seeing all the kids in the neighborhood now, and we still continue to talk about him. And, our vision pretty much every day we in the front yard, I could see him. And I know he's here with us even today in spirit and in our heart. It's just he was just a loving child. We called him the little monkey. He was a climber. He was a grabber. He climbed on top of cabinets, got on top of the sink one time, put the sink on. Just Nicole could go on and talk a little more about it from the household side.
Sure. He was smaller at birth, but that surely did not stop him, as Darby said. Always on the go. Always, where's Riley? Where's Riley? He was always somewhere. In fact, I would be at work and Darby had them, and one time he found him in the back ditch with a rake trying to get the balls out. It's kind of funny, and we had a pirogue that sat in the backyard, and he loved to play in the water with that. Of course, when he got to walk, my mom bought him a pair of blue boots, and so that's where the blue boots came from. He always loved his blue rain boots and his boots. He would always say that.
Every day.
So he really was a wonderful, loving, caring child. Everyone always said, Darby said he might have been like him, but he had my demeanor, kindness, sweetness, and everybody loved him. So he was going to be great, wonderful. And they say, his short amount of time in this life of 2 years, and he accomplished so much and still continues to accomplish all that he's doing, even in heaven.
Well, Take us. That's amazing, and I know that you've had to tell the story about what happened on that day so many times, but we wanted to hear about all that led up to that day. But for the sake of our listeners, let's recap what happened on the day that he passed.
To start off the day, I took myself, my neighbor, and a couple other kids. We went crabbing. My godchild was with me, Brock Onestell. Went crabbing in back of Lockport. Had a wonderful day crabbing. We come home, put the crabs in the ice chest, let Riley play with them. He's running around on the carport. He's enjoying the crabs. Decided to boil the crabs next door at my neighbor's house, at Mr. Gerald Grove's house. He has a swimming pool. And for the last 3 days, previous to the crabbing, the kid swam in the pool. So he knew about the pool, knew where the toys were. And then 15 days prior to that, we had our third child, Cam. So Nicole decided to walk across the street while we were boiling crabs. And after the kids were out the pool, she goes to feed Cam and notices Riley's not with her. So she immediately called me and said, "Darby, check the pool. Riley's not with me." So there my neighbor and I jumped the fence, which the pool had a fence. The gate didn't close. We jumped the fence, got into the pool, got him out. Immediately started CPR. CPR was administered for several minutes. Ambulance showed up, fire department, helicopter landed, took Riley to New Orleans, and 2 days later, Riley passed. Unfortunately, he couldn't overcome his injuries, and he gained his angel wings.
This isn't the first time we've tackled this subject on the show. And I guess I always think of the question, and having had this situation happen in our family as well, for the listeners though, is there any way to put into any kind of words the emotions and the experience, the loss of a child?
Not at all. It's something you deal with every day. Certainly, one day you're doing fine, and then the next day it can bring you to your knees and cry and think about it. I'm thankful that we have Jake and Cam. Obviously, they keep us going as far as that goes. They keep us strong. Our community keeps us strong. They are always, I can't tell you how many people, even patients of mine, will say, "We're praying for you. We know that it's hard." And so we have to just give thanks to all who continue to pray and will always pray for us, because there's no words to describe how it is, the loss of a child. No parent should ever have to go through that.
So we know when it happened, per your story, immediately that was your thought process. You didn't want anyone to have to experience that ever again. We know that thought process began immediately, but can you describe how those thoughts formulated into what is now the Blue Boot Foundation? Take us through the steps after that day to when the foundation started. Sure.
So we were sitting around as a neighborhood, thinking, what can we do to not let this happen to anyone again? And they were like, "Oh, what are we going to do? We're going to do a fishing rodeo. We're going to do a golf tournament." And it finally was decided that, okay, we like to fish. Everyone likes to fish. But we all know, too, Jake loves to play golf. Darby loves to play golf. So maybe we'll do a golf tournament one day, too. But that's how it came about. We decided, so he passed away July 2018. In October 2018, everybody was like, okay, we're going to do a fishing rodeo. And that's how it came about. And it's like, okay, what are we going to do? What are our efforts going to be towards, and all those different ideas. And we came up with the swimming lessons, the life rings on the beach of Grand Isle. We are now partners with Children's Water Safety Awareness as well. Them too, his grandson drowned in a pond at the babysitter's house, and so they do life jackets for life. So it really is a community effort, and we just needed to get it together. And we wanted to know, and we do know, that education is the best means to prevent this tragedy from happening.
We've seen yourself, Darby. We've seen you, Nisi Matranga. We've seen so many of y'all in the schools talking with youth sports groups, different things about water safety, about the importance of it. We know that you'll offer water safety and survival classes. Most of the local people know about the life rings on Grand Isle, but for the sake of our listeners, talk about some of these efforts. Take us through the efforts of the Blue Boot Foundation and some of these things that y'all are doing.
People just come to us and say, hey, what can y'all do? And we just come up with the idea because it's the thing to do. Water education, the biggest thing, water safety education is the biggest out, as I said previously. And it's not even just about educating the kids, it's about educating the parents as well, because you don't think that it can happen to you until it happens to you. And so, like we said, swimming lessons, we have a list of local swimming instructors that are willing to go ahead and teach the swimming lessons. We pay up to the first $50 in the swimming lesson part of it. They're given certificates to give to the swimming lesson instructors, and then right now they actually mail them to the Children's Water Safety Awareness, and at the end of the year they give us a total as to how many swimming lessons they've paid for, and we foot half the bill, and they foot the other half of the bill. As far as the life jackets go, I'm sure you see us as well as Children's Water Safety Awareness. They've been out and about over the last few months. Anytime an organization asks us to come and do our life jackets for life, we get to call Mr. Joey Vining, and he is out there with the Children's Water Safety Awareness doing the life jackets for life. We've done the Vanderbilt crawfish boil, the Nichols cheerleading athletics. Next or this coming weekend, we'll be doing the Terranians Mardi Gras. So just anytime someone asks, either us or Mr. Joey's there to be able to provide all of these services. In regards to the life rings on Grand Isle, Hurricane Ida had taken them all away, but we were able to put all 85 back up. The Garden Club in Grand Isle actually is so gracious to give us their time, and they go and check the rings and let us know if we need a new ring up, we need a new bracket, if anything's wrong with it. Darby brings it on over to Grand Isle, and they change it out for us. So lots of help, lots of volunteers, and we're very thankful for that.
Yeah, and piggybacking off of Nicole's comments here, last year we were fortunate enough to pass the bill in the state capitol. Nicole put a lot of effort and work into that, and we had some help from other states that had a bill that passed. So Louisiana didn't have that bill for public sector schools K through 12 to get any kind of education to the kids or to the parents, and it just like Nicole said, it's educating the parents. I mean, I grew up on the water as my parents were shrimpers and trollers, so I was able to learn how to swim, and you take that stuff for granted, and I was a very, fortunate, pretty good swimmer, and when this happened, on the way home from the hospital, I told Nicole, I said, we have to do something because I don't want this to happen to a friend of mine or anyone we know. Because when it does happen to you, it's that's when you really take a hold of it and say, man, look, it's for real. It's an event that could happen, and and as you brought up a while ago, talking to the youth athletics, I went to Central Lafourche last week, and I stood up and I said, look, guys, I said, I'm not here to motivate you. I'm just here to educate you. Excuse me. And I said, look, I'm not here to scare you as well. I said, I gave him the story like I told you guys. And at the end of the conversation and then a 15 minutes of talking, I'm like, how many of y'all don't know how to swim? And it was kind of frightening to see. They had 7, 8 kids that didn't know how to swim in the high school sector. So I went ahead and I said, look, guys, I said, reach out to the Blue Boot organization. We will help you get swimming lessons. And one of them stood up and said, sir, my family, none of us know how to swim. You're going to help us? I said, that's what we're here for. And that's what our foundation is geared to, helping the local and statewide. We want to get big. We want to grow. We want to help people because we don't want to have to hear the story of the Raleigh John story again. In the last 2 years, Mr. Joey Vaughn brings it up to me all the time. We have 0 drownings in the last 2 years. And previously, it was 6, 7 in Lafourche and Terrebonne Parish. So prayerfully, our foundation and his foundation, people are listening and people learning to educate themselves around water. Because, we don't talk about riptides around here, but it does happen. Mississippi, Alabama, and now we got these rock jetties in Grand Isle, so you're seeing more and more of these riptides. And, we just want to educate the people. We want to educate the public. But you guys having us out here and, just giving our voice, and hopefully it picks up from one person, and they could share the story as well.
Well, we mentioned in the intro that the foundation and the rodeo were making waves. I don't think I've gone anywhere this summer where I haven't seen someone wearing a Blue Boot Rodeo shirt. Everywhere from ball games to the beach, whatever. It just seems like it's out there. And of course, it's your big event, one of your primary fundraisers. Nicole, you kind of touched on it, but can you talk about how you came up with the idea for the fishing rodeo, and what do you think has contributed to its popularity?
Sure. So obviously it's a topic that no one wants to talk about but needs to talk about drowning, and just to get the education out there for water safety. Again, you think it can't happen to you, and it did, and it's just a good cause because it's helping save lives, and everyone is looking forward to use their funds to help with our cause. So I just have to say, no one wants it to happen to them, and it's just all about educating, because we, like Darby said, we do live in a state surrounded by water. We're always around water. We talk about swimming pools a lot, but even open bodies of water, the pond, the bayou. I mean, you can drown in just 2 inches of water if you're a toddler. So it's just a good cause that people like to get behind, because we truly are saving lives.
Yeah, it's educating people. Like I talked to you earlier in the day. After you swim in a pool, you think about, we're going to leave them toys in the pool. But as a kid, they see them toys at the bottom of the pool. So that's what they're going geared for. They jump in, they get them toys. So we asking everyone, pick up your toys, store them in a toolbox, where they can't get them. Just like a 5-gallon bucket, your rainwater, you don't want to keep it upright. You want to pick up your 5-gallon buckets, because a kid is top heavy. Their head will lean over. They'll fall in the bucket. Their arms ain't long enough to get them out. So unfortunately, a couple of years ago, they had 25 drownings of toddlers in the United States in a 5-gallon bucket.
Wow.
So, I mean, just, we didn't know about this, so we learning. Nicole's on the board of Stop Drowning Now in California, and it's a national board. They meet once a year, and we educate, through that board, we educate ourselves and try to share the same thing that's happening throughout the United States.
Through your research, I wanted to ask this question. Through your research, what have you found as some of the most common, maybe like the top 1 or 2 or 3 things? My thought process is distractions, cell phones. That's one of the primary causes of this.
Correct. Definitely, like you said, distractions. And the other thing, parents, at least 80% of parents are present when their child drowns because of distractions, because you're sitting there talking to your friend and you're not, looking at the kids in the pool. The other thing is 70% of drownings happen when kids are not expected to be in the water. So yes, you were vigilant, watching all the kids in the water, and then everybody gets out the pool, and the chance of that kid returning to the pool jumps tremendously because you're not expecting them to be there. And again, as Darby said, that's kind of what happened in Riley's event. All the kids were out of the swimming pool. We did not check the gate to make sure that the pool was closed afterwards, and he made his way back into the pool and didn't know he was going to harm himself, as most toddlers don't know they're going to harm themselves. Even high school kids, they don't even think jumping in the lake that they might be something on the bottom of the water, so they dive head first and then they don't come back up, or hit anything, even on the water. That grain, as we call it around here, can swell up, and everybody better put their life jacket on, because you don't know what's going to happen, or the boat comes flying by with a wave, and kids can fall out. In fact, there's a story in Lafayette. The poor sweet little girl, she had 3 older brothers, and she was the daughter, the last child, and she did not have her life jacket on in the boat, and they were just fishing, like stand still. So our law is, if the boat's in motion, everybody under the age of 15 has to have a life jacket on, but if it's not, you don't have to have that life jacket on. And she fell overboard and nobody noticed. She did not have her life jacket on. So even if the law says, wear your life jacket only when the boat's in motion, I cannot stress enough to just keep those life jackets on those kids at all times around any body of water until they are strapped in their car seat, at least, because it's way scary to know that they can just go find the edge of the waterfall and then you can't find them.
Yeah, and you want to talk about the stats. That's the leading cause of death in children ages 1 to 5 is drowning, and as the second leading cause of death from 5 to 14. And as Nicole stated about swimming in around a pool, we highly preach about water watcher cards. I mean, like Brendan, if you want to watch your kids for 15 minutes, you take all your distractions away. You remove your cell phone from your surroundings. You watch the kids, and you swap out with your wife or a friend, whoever's there, and you just continue to look at that water watcher card. You count the heads, how many people are in the pool, and that'll definitely help save lives.
Darby, did you teach her about a grain or?
Well, yeah, I talk all the time about that grain. I say, look at that grain brewing up.
Teach that Central Lafourche girl.
Well, I share a lot of French words, no doubt.
Like we were saying, the popularity of the rodeo and of the foundation, it just continues to grow, very fast growing. And Darby, you mentioned last year the Riley Bourgeois bill passed through the 2022 legislative session, signed into law by Governor Edwards, basically, like you said, mandating water safety education for all K through 12 public school students. Talk about your experience trying to get something like that passed through the state legislature.
Well, I really can't talk. I mean, I could talk about it because I've seen all the hard work Nicole put into it. And, I was just there for the kind of coasting for the ride with her and supporting her in this effort because, Lord, it was challenging, at first. And even, Mr. Joe Ogeron, God bless him, man, he was so helpful for us. And prior to that, we had Mr. Reggie Bagalat that was pushing it hard with us. And lo and behold, Reggie, bless his soul, he's in heaven now. He helped us out. So like Joe told us, we got there in Baton Rouge, sat down, and I could see the water in Joe's eyes. He was pumped up like we were pumped up. He says, guys, I'm telling you, this might not happen on the first try. It takes 2 or 3 tries. Going to Baton Rouge, went a couple times, and Mr. Cleo Fields ran for governor, I believe, in 94, 92, somewhere in that area, and he was a senator. He stood up and said, Nicole gave him our story and told him about what we're here to offer to the state of Louisiana, and he stood up and he said, you mean to tell me there is no education for water safety in the state of Louisiana? And we both said no at the same time. He hit the table and he says, I'm pulling for you guys. I said, I forgot the word he used. He said, but this bill will pass. So we were so super excited. We come out the hallway, come out the room, and Joe's pumped up. We hugging each other. And he's like, okay, we still got to wait. So I'm kind of like texting him every day. When we going to find out? Because I'm a guy that needs to know now. And when he called us and he told us that the bill passed, it was astonishing. It was unbelievable. And, to see Riley's name be on a bill. And then this year, the teachers and the school sector reached out to us once they got the email from the state. And we've sent this criteria out to numerous amount of school districts, and we're getting a lot of good feedback. And this went to Thibodaux. I mean, I went teach a class in Thibodaux, and they had no idea about the Blue Blue Foundation, and they were so excited about water safety. That school, I asked them how many don't know how to swim, and when I seen the hands raised up that don't know how to swim, I was in shock. And that's why we're here, and that's why we want to help, like you said, save lives.
Well, you also, I want to touch on a cool experience you had as well recently where you worked with the LSU baseball team. And among others, the best player in the country, Dylan Cruz, contributed to designing some special cleats that the players wore this year. Tell us about that.
Yeah, man. 3 years ago, Gavin Dugas, I mean, he's a hero to my boys, and I love LSU baseball. And his family is unbelievable. I mean, I'm tearing up here. Corey Hebert was able to get Gavin through LBA baseball because Corey's son played. He came 3 years ago to our rodeo, and he took it. And I know Cade below, so I know Cade through John Curtis, my little gotcha. I played football with him at Curtis, so he knew me as Mr. Darby, and I was like, no man, it's not Mr. Darby. So then all of a sudden, Tommy Tanks comes along. We meet him at a tailgate football game this year. Gavin's introducing the guys. We meet Josh Pearsons. We meet Dylan Cruz. We meet pretty much the whole baseball team, and Alex Malazzo, and they partnered up with us, and they asked, how could we help, and how could we share your message through LSU sports and through the nation, that's people that's watching us. So we talked to Gavin one day about the cleats. He talked to Dylan. Dylan orchestrated it, and we designed the one with the Raleigh face on it, and Gavin and crews designed, the one with the water safety and the life ring on it. So we was kind of in shock when they got that pair of cleats. Pretty excited, and to see them wear, you dream as a kid, man, I could run the bases at LSU one day. That never happened to me. But Riley, in a short period of time, he has ran the bases at LSU. Now he's taking his cleats to Omaha. So go imagine, whenever I'm going to see my little boy's face on them cleats and running the bases around Omaha, and hopefully they win it. It's going to be a story of a lifetime, and it is. It's a story of a lifetime, and I can't thank them young men enough. They're truly a blessing, and they're so polite when you talk to them. They're very well mannered, and Coach Jay Johnson got some hell of a kid right there, no doubt about it.
Awesome end of that story, too, is in his first at-bat in his Riley John cleats,
wow.
Gavin Dugas hits a home run.
Well, you say that, and he hits the home run, and to end the game, Tommy Tanks hits a home run to walk it off with the Riley John cleats. So we started the game with a home run, we ended the game with a home run, and it was just – I was so excited that night. I can't tell you how much tears I cried. You could ask my wife, and you could ask the neighbors in the neighborhood. I was super pumped about it.
You look at the rodeo and it's growing in popularity. You have the experience last summer with the bill being passed, this summer with LSU baseball, and this is probably not even the pinnacle. Like, this thing is continuing to grow and continuing to take off. But even looking back to when this started, did you ever think it would get to this level? I mean, this was a passion project as bereaved parents. Did you ever imagine it getting to this?
No, I did not. And actually, after our first rodeo, it was such a success to begin with. And I woke up the next morning and I was like, what did we do? Because it's like, oh, man, it's a big task to take on. And again, we couldn't do it without everyone's help, all of our volunteers. And everyone is a volunteer. No one gets paid, so we're 100% nonprofit volunteer organization, and we are just so blessed that we have so much help to help us in everything. And you're correct, we did not think that it would get this big. And as you said, I don't even know how it can be topped off as to have the LSU Tiger baseball team wearing the cleats, and then what more can we do? So I guess it's all in God's hands, obviously, and we'll just keep on going.
I got something in the works. We met Christian Locouture last week, and he's really close with Mason Smith. So we're in talks with the football team. So you might see some kind of cleats running around that field.
There you go. All right, so for those listening after this summer, obviously this next part won't be relevant. But for the next few weeks, as we get ready for the rodeo. It's coming up July 6th through the 8th, 2023. So tell us a little bit about it, if anybody's interested, how they can get involved, where they can go for tickets, all that stuff.
Yeah, you can find us on all our social media platforms, bluebullrodeo.com. We have a link to our ticket sales, our shirts and hats and so forth. But the rodeo is geared toward kids, and we try to focus on the kids and let the kids have a good time. A lot of adults have a lot of good time in Grand Island, but we want the kids to have fun. So we have a kids zone, a lot of activities for the kids. You could buy a bunch of trinkets and goodies for the kids as well. So you buy a fishing rodeo, you're able to fish. If a kid's 12 and under, he could get a free life jacket for life. We also have plate lunches. We have DJs and bands. We have a cornhole tournament on Friday. The fishing, we expanded the categories, so a few more offshore fishing categories this year. We had a lot of people ask us about the offshore fishing life, so we're trying to expand a little bit out there, and it's looking like we're getting some good feedback. Ticket sales are booming right now, and our sponsorships are unbelievable. Again, this year, we can't thank them enough. Yeah, but the rodeo is a 3-day event. Start fishing on the Thursday. We weigh in on a Friday and Saturday with the closing events on Saturday night. With Sharks in December is going to be the band that's going to close us out. We have a good live auction. A lot of sports stuff that my wife really don't like us to sell. She wants us to do other things, but that's what brings a little bit of money to us, to our organization. And this year, hopefully, with the LSU players being there to sign autographs again, they could hopefully sign a jersey with a winning jersey and make somebody pretty happy. But the rodeo, it's, find us on social media. We do a lot of sharing. This year's grand prize is a side-by-side. It's a 2-seater. You don't have to be present. You could purchase a ticket, and if you pull your name, you're going to win you a nice side-by-side.
Well, all right. Well, it's Nicole and Darby. Time for our rapid fire questions. So we want the first thing that comes to your mind, but feel free to explain if you need to. All right. So, and y'all could go in whatever order you like. But our first question is going to be, if you could have one final meal cooked by your parents or grandparents, what would it be?
It would be my great-grandma Leah's ground meat and carrots.
No doubt, my grandma Velma's seafood gumbo, signature, unbelievable. She handed over her recipe to her kids, but I'm tell you right now, it ain't that good.
Nobody makes it like her. All right, so in the past we've asked about like gumbo and potato salad. So I'm gonna ask this question this time. And being sports fans, you'll know that white beans and jambalaya are a tailgating staple. So with white beans, do you put it on top of the jambalaya or on the side?
I'm going to tell you what she's going to say. None of her food touches. I put it on the side. I'm a guy that puts it on the side. I don't like it on top. But, I mean, it could touch, but I put it on the side.
What do you call me? Stop being so delicate.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's right. I don't like any of my food touching. So, no, it has to be in separate areas on the plate.
All right, we could bring your boys in for this next one, too, if you guys want to participate. But we need your answer, too. So what's your favorite snowball flavor?
I'm a coconut guy with some condensed milk all up in it. From Grams and Galliana was the best.
So this is the question. We had no idea coconut was so popular. Is that because you were a messy kid and your parents wanted a clear snowball flavor?
I'm sure I was messy, but I just love that coconut flavor.
My favorite is wild strawberry stuffed from the Matthews snowball stand, which is now in Raceland, but it's no longer there.
I know exactly what you're talking about. All right, guys, what you got?
What's your favorite
snowball flavor? Tell us in the microphone.
Wedding cake.
Jake says wedding cake. Cam, what is your favorite?
Tiger blood.
All the kids love tiger blood. I like wedding cake too, dude. That's mine. Thank y'all. All right. So the next question is for the grown-ups, though. Jar, roux, sometimes or never?
It just matters how fast you're trying to cook your food.
All day. You got to make that just a good roux from scratch.
All right. Final question. You're at a Down the Bayou wedding reception. What song do you expect to hear?
Tootsie Roll.
Boy, you didn't even have to think.
I don't even know what to say.
I mean, look, if you're a line dancer, you're going to want to hear the freeze, huh?
Yeah, but I'm not a line dancer. I would say back that butt up. That's the nice way to say it.
Edited for the kids in the room. All right. Right. Nicole and Darby, thank y'all so much for joining us. Before we go, tell everybody one more time how you can follow the Blue Boot Foundation online.
BlueBootRodeo.com on social media, Facebook page as well, Instagram, Twitter, BlueBootRodeo.com. And then our foundation is the Riley John Blue Boot Foundation. This tells you where we put our money in and what our efforts are for and what we continue to do throughout our outreach through the year and for the years coming. We thank you guys for having us. And look, if you have any questions about swimming, education of swimming around water, please reach out to us through email. It'll come to me. It'll come to one of our board members. And we looking forward to hearing from you. And
just looking forward to educate the public just in general as far as kids, adults, and everyone. We can always and never hear too much about how to be safe in and around any bodies of water.
All right, guys. Thank y'all so much for joining us. That'll do it for this episode of the DTB Podcast. Thanks to our producer, Ross Jeanbaugh, our executive producers, Jure Jairo and Hillary Crum, and the other Bless Your Heart board members, Luke Newman and Chris Brantley. Please visit blessyourheartnonprofit.com to donate and learn more about our organization. Be sure to follow and subscribe to the DTB Podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also get more content by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok at the DTB Podcast. I'm Brennan Mathern. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk again soon.